Vice President for Sales and Marketing of Marketing.
Good afternoon. I will try to make this an interesting finale to the talks today. I'm Dan Powdermaker. I have sales and marketing for ARPANET. We're a global provider of voice and IP communications. A few months back, I went to see Bob Dylan with my wife, and on the way back from the concert, I turned to her and said that I thought I should name or title this talk, "The Times They Are Changing." And as Carla often does, she laughed at me and said, "Please, whatever you do, don't sing." So I will spare you my singing voice. But I think that it is actually kind of a fitting title or heading for what I want to talk about, what a number of the other speakers have talked about today. When Bob Dylan wrote this song, he was talking about social and political change in the late 1960s. But our industry, as many industries are changing in very, very significant ways. He wrote, or sang, "Come gather round people wherever you roam and admit that the waters around you have grown." Our industry has grown immensely in the last 20 years, and it continues to grow. And that is obviously a very, very healthy environment to be in. At the same time, he then went on to say, "Accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming." We're all swimming in a very, very challenging environment. The topics I'm going to cover, I'm going to talk a little bit about where I think we're headed, and I don't think I'll say anything too controversial there. Touch on who are likely to be the winners in this industry. How do you win? Look at the international voice market, where the bulk of my experience has been, where ARPANET spends most of its time, and then give a quick overview of what our company is doing and how we're changing and trying to adapt to today's market. The major trends that have been playing out and affecting this industry for a number of years have been deregulation, which continues to happen in many countries. The regulatory environment continues to evolve and create new opportunities as well as new challenges. And then the technological revolutions of IP, of data, of a transition from a fixed world to a mobile world. These trends have led to it, resulted in an explosion in the number of carriers. At the same time, that's created tremendous competition for all of us. I think that if you total up the number of service providers in the world that are providing voice communications, the number is over 5,000 globally at this point, and that includes domestic and mobile and international players, wholesalers and retailers. These trends have fueled enormous growth in the industry. This is some statistics here in terms of just the size of the total industry, equipment, software, services. Somewhere between $2 and $3 trillion are what they're estimating will be spent on telecom services and infrastructure in 2009. The transition to mobile, roughly 75% of the world's phones are mobile phones. I think the number's probably higher, the percentage is probably higher in Asia than in some of the Western countries. About half of all international phone calls are terminated to mobile phones, and somewhere around a third are being originated from mobile phones. The penetration rates in some of the developed countries are over 100% at this point. They're over 100% in Russia and the Ukraine, countries that are still developing very, very quickly. In China, in a 3-year period, the penetration rate has gone from about 1/3 to close to half. So the growth is very, very significant, and you can see even within some developing countries, in the wealthy cities, the more developed cities, penetration rates exceeding 100%. The challenge that mobile providers are encountering is that at some point that growth starts to slow and price pressures start to develop. This summer in China Unicom started cutting prices at the retail level in order to try to attract more customers. Vodafone in the UK started waiving roaming fees for a promotional period. So the competition intensifies, the focus on customer acquisition shifts, and it really becomes a question of how do you pull customers away from your competitors. And then we hear that the opportunity lies in broadband, and it certainly does. Broadband is also experiencing tremendous growth. The challenge for the industry, however, is that the capital requirements to provide broadband, are extremely high, and the race continues. In broadband, very much as in the mobile world, the trend from a narrowband world to a broadband world is well underway in developing countries. You can see China, for instance, went from 1% or 2% penetration in 2000 to about 25% penetration today. Hong Kong, about 70% penetration. The trend, again, very much like in mobile, growth will start to slow as penetration reaches some level. In Europe, most of the analysts are projecting growth in the broadband infrastructure of 1 to 2% at this point. So where does this leave us? The fixed line operators are confronted with mobile. The mobile operators are confronted with the need for broadband. The cable operators lack mobile. You've got people offering, carriers offering triple play, quadruple play. You've got Skype, Google, new types of internet companies that are starting to come in and create competition. And the question really is, at the end of the day, what is left for people to make money with? Is the application king? We heard Doi and Bill Stefan say earlier in their presentations this morning that life is an application store. That's the orange logo. Or Doi was saying that all consumers are developers, all of us are consumers and developers of applications. Apple has certainly done very, very well supplying applications via the iTunes website. Their market cap today is higher than AT&T's. On a company that does about 20 or 25% of the revenue of AT&T. So who will win? Is it the traditional integrated carriers like Tata or Verizon, AT&T, China Mobile, or will some of the new breed of carriers be winners? We heard, one of the speakers speculate about whether Skype would survive or not. We will see. They've clearly done quite well. With very, very low investment, have become the largest carrier in the world, and they've managed to monetize a fair number of their customer base. Or will it be Apple? If the application really is king, it's the company that is distributing the applications to more and more users around the world, likely to continue to have great success. If you look at the AT&T Apple relationship in the United States, AT&T supplies the network, supplies the infrastructure, it subsidizes the sale of the iPhone, and then it shares its revenue with Apple. So in a sense, Apple is a carrier with no infrastructure. Apple sells the applications and makes more than half of the revenue price goes to Apple for that application sale. And then what the iPhone does is feed